Hare Krishna. Hare Krishna. Hare Krishna. Hare Krishna. Krishna Krishna. Hare Hare. Hare Krishna. Hare Krishna. Hare Krishna. Krishna Krishna. Hare Hare. Hare Krishna. Hare Krishna. Krishna Krishna. Hare Hare. Hare Rama. Hare Krishna.
Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Narayanam Namaskrityam Nara Chaiva Narottamam Devim Saraswatim Yasam Tato Jayam Mudiraye. नष्टप्रायेषु अभद्रेषु नित्यं भागवत सेवया भगवती उत्तमश्लोके भक्तिर्भवती नैष्टिकी कृष्णाय वासुदेवाय देवकी नन्दनाय च नन्दगोपकुमाराय गोविन्दाय नमो नमः. Hare Krishna, dear devotees, welcome to this wonderful class. So, the last bit that we had halted was the third chapter of the third canto, and the shloka was the fifth shloka from the third chapter, that was there. So that's how we had just ended with this particular, session that time. And we had spoke a lot about different characters also, Satyabhama and Jamvati and Rukmini and all. So let's see what the next shlokas have for us. Give me 1 minute, I'll just share the screen with you. Yeah. So another more pastimes of Krishna being said, because this chapter speaks a lot about the Supreme Lord's pastime outside Vrindavan. So we saw that how Krishna killed Kamsa, then from where he took his education from Sandipani Muni. We also saw that how he kidnapped Rukmini and he got married to different princesses also, Satyabhama, Jamvati and Nagnajiti. And in this particular shloka, he speaks about the killing of Narkasur. Let's see. Okay. Yes. Sutam mrudhekham vapusha grastant drishtva sunabhona mathitam dharitraya आमन्त्रितास्तत्तनया शेषं दत्त्वा तद् अनन्तपुरम् आविशेष. Somebody read the translation and the purport both. Sushil Prabhu, please read the translation and purport both.
Hare Krishna. Translation: Narakasura, the son of Dharitri, the earth, tried to grasp the whole sky, and for this he was killed by the Lord in a fight. His mother then prayed to the Lord. This led to the return of kingdom to the son of Narakasura, and thus the Lord entered the house of the demon. Purport: it is said in other Puranas that Narakasura was the son of Dharitri, the earth, by the Lord himself. But he became a demon due to the bad association of Vana, another demon. An atheist is called a demon, and it is a fact that even a person born of good parents can turn into a demon bad association. Birth is not always the criteria of goodness. Unless and until one is trained in the culture of good association, one cannot become good. Hare Krishna. Thank you.
Hare Krishna, Baba. So this Narkasur, he actually, sorry, this Narkasur is actually, what do you say? He's also one of the Asuras, and what he had done is, Narkasur had, I just forget that what he had done.
Mother, these 16,000 princes he kidnapped.
Yeah, but actually I'm just finding the initial thing where in the Mahabharata it is written about him that this Narkasur, no, he is the son of Devi actually. And she is the no, actually he's not the son of Devi. Yes, I just forget. Actually, there is a nice story of this Narka in the where so this Narkasur, no, he, I'm just forgetting his birth actually. Yeah, this Hiranyaksha, no? When Hiranyaksha was there, so when this Hiranyaksha, he had touched this horn to Bhudemi. So then, uh, uh, mm, so then Varhadev is actually mentioned as Narka's father. And actually, this Narkasur, no, this Narka was actually a very pious person. But because of the association of this Banasur, he actually became an evil person, and that is why from Naraka, he actually got that suffix called Narakasur also, and that is how his name was this. So um, he wanted to actually marry some goddess, and he thought that I will prepare a staircase, to get married to this. But that goddess actually she put a condition that if you will build a staircase from the bottom of some hill and to the temple within one night, uh, then she would easily marry. And then Narkasur had taken that challenge and he tried to build that what do you say staircase, and he had almost you know completed that job before it was morning, it was dawn. But when this what do you say this uh, Apsara, she received that news. She was really very panicked actually, and she strangled a claw. She strangled a cock and she made it a crow, and uh, and untimely to give the impression of dawn to this Naraka. And then he got duped. Actually, she cheated him actually. And Narka thought that it was, a futile job and left it halfway. So later he chased that cock and he killed it also. Then that is why this Narkasur, no, he was always drunk with power. And he used to think that nobody can, control me and I will only be able to control everyone. So he was thinking of going towards Swargaloka. And even Indra could not actually, defeat this Narkasur. And Narkasur had become, you can say, the overlord of heaven and earth both. And he was so much addicted with that power that he stole the earrings of Indra's wife Aditi. And he also had kidnapped these 16,000 wives actually. So all the devas and everybody, the demigods and all, they went to Vishnu that please uh, please save us from this Narkasur because he's becoming too much powerful and he's creating a lot of torture and all these things in the what do you say um, so that is why then Narkasur was allowed to only enjoy a very long reign, but Vishnu, uh, when uh, when uh, when Krishna came on this earth, and Aditi happened to be the relative of Satyabhama, and then that's why um, mm, uh, uh, she happened to approach Satyabhama for help. So when Satyabhama heard of this Narkasur's, torturing women and ill-treating them and all that, and how he had behaved with Aditi also. So then she was really, she was very angry. So Satyabhama, she approached Krishna that she wanted to wage a war against Narkasur. So then Krishna attacked this fort of Narkasur. And then Krishna came with his wife, Satyabhama. And Krishna with his Sudarshan Chakra. And there was one more weapon. I don't remember the weapon's name, but there was a very big battle between Narkasur and Krishna. And Narkasur also was not less actually. He had 11 Akshoni's, army. And that's how he was killed. So, Krishna also killed one of his general also. His name was Mura demon. And that is why, because Krishna killed that Mura demon, he is called Murari. Murari. Ari means kill. है ना? तो Murari, तो Murari को जिसने, and that is why Krishna is called Murari. So Narkasur, he used many weapons and all, and somehow the other he could not counteract, and that's how then later on in that whole fierce battle, Krishna killed him with the Sudarshan Chakra, and he split Narkasur into two halves. So that's how he had, and actually this Narkasur, he had requested a boon from Satyabhama that please let everyone celebrate my death with colorful lights. That is why if you see, in the first day of Diwali, we celebrate as Nark Chaturdashi. And so Krishna and Satyabhama's, because Krishna and Satyabhama won over Narkasur, and that is why these all 16,108 wives were, relieved from his clutches. So it is actually a freedom for those prisoners, those princesses from his clutches, and that is why that Nark Chaturdashi is being celebrated that way. So this is, a story about Narkasur, like as such. So the next he says that, so Lord killed this Narkasur, and he established this Narkasur's own son only as the king, Bhagadatta. And and all these queens which were captured by Narkasur, they were very happy to see Krishna. They were very eager to see Krishna. And with that joy and shyness, these princesses offer themselves to be the wives of Krishna. That's how the story goes. So then he says next, how Lord, behaves with every queen. Tatra ritasnat naradeva kanya kujena drishtva harim artha bandham utthaya sadhya jagruha prasharsa vridanuraga prahitavalokaika. So he says that, and so this is like another continuation only of this Narkasur. Okay, this is the 7th one. Lakshmi Narayan Prabhu, are you feeling okay now? Please read.
Yes, Mataji. Hare Krishna. Dandat Mataji.
How's your health? Everything is fine now?
Yes, Mataji, fine, Mataji. Actually, I came to visit my son and daughter in the US. So that time also jet lag and all also little time to adjust, Mataji. Now I'm okay, fine, Mataji.
It must be early morning there, right? 9 o'clock?
Yeah, 11:20, Mataji now.
Ah, so it is right time for you. Okay. Yes.
Hare Krishna. Translation. There in the house of the demon, all the princes kidnapped by Narkasura at once became alert upon seeing the Lord, the friend of the distressed. They looked upon him with eagerness, joy, and shyness and offered to be his wives. Purport. Narkasura kidnapped many daughters of great kings and kept them imprisoned in his palace. But even when he was killed by the Lord and the Lord entered the house of the demon, all the princesses were enlivened with joy and offered to become his wives because the Lord is the only friend of the distressed. Unless the Lord accepted them, there would be no chance of their being married because the demon kidnapped them from their father's custody, and therefore no one would agree to marry them. According to Vedic society, girls are transferred from the custody of the father to the custody of the husband. Since these princes had already been taken away from the custody of their fathers, it would have been difficult for them to have any husband other than the Lord himself. Thank you, Mataji. Hare Krishna.
Thank you very much. So then the next he says that, so this is again, these two shlokas were actually describing this Narkasur and what activities he did. Asam muhurta ekasmin नानागारेषु योषितं सविधं जग्रहे पानेन अनुरूप स्वमायया. Priyanka, are you in a position to read?
Yes, Mataji.
Yeah, read.
Hare Krishna. Translation. All those princesses were lodged in different apartments, and the Lord simultaneously assumed different bodily expansions, exactly matching each and every princess. He accepted their hands in perfect rituals by his internal potency. Purport. In the Brahma Samhita 5.33, the Lord is described as follows in regard to his innumerable plenary expansions. Advaitam Achyutam Anadim Anantarupam Adyam Purana Purusham Nava Vayavanam Cha Vedeshu Durlavam Adurlavam Atma Bhaktau Govindam Adi Purusham Tamam Bhajami. The Lord Govinda, whom I worship, is the original personality of Godhead. He is non-different from his innumerable plenary expansions, who are all infallible, original, and unlimited, and who have eternal forms. Although he is primeval, the oldest personality, he is always fresh and young. By his internal potency, the Lord can expand himself into various personalities of Swayam Prakasha and again into Prabhava and Vaibhav forms, and all of them are non-different from one another. The forms into which the Lord expanded to marry the princesses in different apartments were all slightly different just to match each and every one of them. They are called Vaibhav Vilasa forms of the Lord and are affected by his internal potency, Yogamaya. Thank you, Mataji. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna. So then further he says that, so he says that tasav api tasvapatyanya anya jana यदात्मा तुल्यानि सर्वतः एकैकस्या दश दश प्रकृते विभूषया. Just to expand himself according to his transcendental features, the Lord begot in each and every one of them 10 offsprings with exactly his own quality. So the previous shloka and this shloka, the Lord expanded, into many forms, exactly matching each and every princesses. Like how she wanted her husband to be, then he's matching according to their desire. And Krishna accepted their hands, and then simultaneously, then in each of the palaces, he's expanding himself through his internal potency, and then he got, from 16,108 wives, then 10 children from each. So then we can see sons and daughters both, okay? So 10 sons from each queen and 10 daughters from each queen, that way. So this is what is being said over here. And he's saying that, just give me 1 minute. Go ahead. Then so now actually, from this shloka onwards, we'll see that how Krishna killed so many of the demons of on the battlefield of Kurukshetra also. So he killed Kala Magadha Salvadin Anikai Rundhataha Puram Ajighana Tasvayam Divyam Swapum Satej Adishataha. Vaishnavi, please read.
Translation. Kalayavana, the king of Magadha and Salva, attacked the city of Mathura. But when the city was encircled by their soldiers, the Lord refrained from killing them personally, just to show the power of his own men. Purport. After the death of Kamsa, when Mathura was encircled by the soldiers of Kalayavana, Jarasandha, and Salva, the Lord seemingly fled from the city, and thus he is known as Ranchor, or one who fled from fighting. Actually, the fact was that the Lord wanted to kill them through the agency of his own men, devotees like Muchukunda and Bhima. Kalayavana and the king of Magadha were killed by Muchukunda and Bhima respectively, who acted as agents of the Lord. By such acts, the Lord wanted to exhibit the prowess of his devotees as if he were personally unable to fight, but his devotees could kill them. The relationship of the Lord with his devotees is a very happy one. Actually, the Lord descended at the request of Brahma in order to kill all the undesirables of the world, but to divide the share of glory, he sometimes engaged his devotees to take the credit. The battle of Kurukshetra was designed by the Lord himself, but just to give credit to his devotees, Arjuna nimitta matrena bhava savyachin. Savyasachin.
Yeah.
He played the part of the charioteer, while Arjuna was given the chance to play the fighter and thus become the hero of the battle of Kurukshetra. What he wants to do himself by his transcendental plans, he executes through his confidential devotees. That is the way of the Lord's mercy towards his pure, unalloyed devotees. Thank you, Mataji. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. Sushil Prabhu, volume is low. That's what you're saying?
No, Mataji, it has become always.
Okay. I thought volume is low, but generally, in this MacBook, very less technical problem will be there until unless you don't have a light or something like that. So that is why volume is not so much of a problem with when you have a Mac, a laptop as such. So I have a MacBook, so even if I'm a little away, from my what you say instrument, still there will be low volume will be good. So I don't need an external mic to speak. I can speak on this mic itself only. Okay, so we'll go next. What did he say in this shloka? He said that, okay, so okay, he killed many, demons called Kalyavana, Jarasandha, and Shalva, and but Lord did not kill them personally. He wanted to give fame to Muchukunda, Bhim and others. So we know the story of this Muchukunda and how Kalyavan was killed and how Jarasan was killed and how Salva was killed, right? Okay, so another more demons. Shambarambam Dvividam Banam Mura Balva Balvalameva Anyamascha Dantavakratrin Avadhit Kamsa cha Ghatayat. Oh, very nice. Ghatayat. Okay. Of kings like Sambara, Dvivida, Bana, Mura, Balvala, and many other demons such as Dantavakra. Some he killed himself and some he caused to be killed by others, like Lord Balaram. Then he's saying that Ate te bhratruputranam pakshayo patitan nrupanah chachala bhu kurukshetra yesha mapattata bale. Translation, he says that, then, O Vidura, the Lord caused all the kings, both the enemies and those on the side of your fighting nephews, to be killed in the battle of Kurukshetra. All those kings were so great and strong that the earth seemed to shake as they traversed the war field. So this is, all this is being said. By actually Uddhava. Okay. And then he's saying that Sakarna Dushasana Shasana Sobalanam Kumantrapakena Hat Shriya Yushmam Suyodhana Sanucharam Shayan Bhagnoru Vyarana Nandan Paschana. Yeah, somebody read the translation. Rupa Mataji, please read the translation and purport both.
Hare Krishna.
Mataji, how are you now? You're feeling okay now?
Yes, Mataji, yes.
You went through a dental surgery, no, Mataji?
Yes, Mataji, yeah.
Now you're okay as such? Because dental
Okay,
surgery, I think you can recover within 4 to 5 days, I think, as that I know actually.
yes, Mataji. 5 days is what he told, yeah.
Yes, yes. 5 days I remember because my mother also went through a dental surgery some time back. So I know. Yes, Mataji.
Hare Krishna. Duryodhana was bereft of his fortune and duration of life because of the intricacy of ill advice given by Karna, Dushyasana, and Shaubala. When he lay on the ground with his followers, his thighs broken, although he was powerful, the Lord was not happy to see the scene. Purport. The fall of Duryodhana, the leading son of Dhritarashtra, was not pleasing to the Lord, although he was on the side of Arjuna, and it was he who advised Bhima how to break the thighs of Duryodhana while the fight was going on. The Lord is constrained to award punishment upon the wrongdoer, but he is not happy to award such punishments because the living entities are originally his parts and parcels. He is harder than the thunderbolt for the wrongdoer and softer than the rose for the faithful. The wrongdoer is misled by bad associates and by ill advice, which is against the established principles of the Lord's order, and thus he becomes subject to punishment. The surest path to happiness is to live by the principles laid down by the Lord and not disobey his orders.
Yeah. Yes.
Not to disobey his established laws, which are enacted in the Vedas and the Puranas for the forgetful living entities. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna, Mataji. Oh, yeah. So next he says that, so see, over here Duryodhana was actually bereft of good fortune, because why? He used to always take ill advice of Karna, Dushasana and Shakuni. And the Lord was not happy to see Duryodhan lying on the ground with his broken thighs. So somebody might question that why was Lord not happy, right? The first reason is that because all the living entities are the part and parcel of Krishna, and Krishna does not rejoice to see them suffering. And the second reason he is giving over here is that because the intolerable strength of the Yadus still remained on the earth, and that is why the Supreme Lord was not really happy. So now, in the next shloka, he says that there were some 18 Akshuni armies that were destroyed in the Kurukshetra war. But Krishna considered the Yadus are still unbearable burden for the earth. Why? Because there is a Prabhupada will explain in the purport. Let's see what Prabhupada has to say and read the translation and purport both. Sushil Prabhu, please read the translation and purport.
Hare Krishna. Translation. After the end of the battle of Kurukshetra, the Lord said, the abatement of the earth's great burden, 18 Akshohinis, has now been effected with the help of Drona, Bhishma, Arjuna, and Bhima. But what is this? There is still the great strength of the Yadu dynasty, born of myself, which may be a more unbearable burden. Purport. It is a wrong theory that due to an increase in population, the world becomes overburdened, and therefore there are wars and other annihilating processes. The earth is never overburdened. The heaviest mountain and ocean on the face of the earth hold more living entities than there are human beings, and they are not overburdened. If a census were taken of all the living beings on the surface of the earth, certainly it would be found that the number of human is not even 5% of the total number of living beings. If the birth rate of human being is increasing, then the birth rate of other living beings is increasingly proportionately. The birth rate of lower animals, beasts, aquatics, birds, etc. is far greater than that of the human beings. There is an adequate arrangement for food for all the living beings all over the earth by the order of the Supreme Lord, and he can arrange more and more if there is actually a disproportionate increase of the living beings. Therefore, there is no question of an increase in population causing a burden. The earth became overburdened due to the dharmaklani or irregular discharge of the Lord's desire. The Lord appears on the earth to curb the increase in miscreants and not the increase in population, as is wrongly put forward by the mundane economists. When Lord Krishna appeared, there had been a sufficient increase in miscreants who had violated the desire of the Lord. The material creation is meant for the fulfilling the desire of the Lord, and his desire is that the conditioned souls who are unfit to enter into the kingdom of God have a chance to improve their conditions for entering. The entire process of cosmic arrangement is intended just to give a chance to the conditioned souls to enter the kingdom of God, and there is an adequate arrangement for their maintenance by the nature of the Lord. Harish.
No, bro, there is more also.
Therefore, although there may be a great increase in population on the surface of the earth, if the people are exactly in line with God consciousness and are not miscreants, such a burden on the earth is a source of pleasure for her. There are two kinds of burdens. There is the burden of the beast and the burden of love. The burden of beast is unbearable, but the burden of love is a source of pleasure. Srila Vishwanatha Chakravarti describes the burden of love very particularly. He says that the burden of the husband on the young wives, the burden of the child on the lap of mother, and the burden of wealth on the businessman, although actually burdens from the viewpoint of heaviness, are source of pleasure. And in the absence of such burdensome objects, one may feel the burden of separation, which is heavier to bear than the actual burden of love. When Lord Krishna referred to the burden of the Yadu dynasty on that, he referred to something different than the burden of the beast. The large number of family members born of Lord Krishna counted to some millions, and were certainly a great increase in the population of that. But because all of them are expansions of the Lord Himself, by His transcendental plenary expansion, they were a source of great pleasure for that. When the Lord referred to them in connection with the burden on the earth, He had in mind their imminent disappearance from the earth. All the members of the family of Lord Krishna were incarnation of different demigods, and they were to disappear from the surface of the earth along with the Lord. When he referred to the unbearable heaviness on the earth in connection with the Yadu dynasty, he was referring to the burden of their separation. Srila Jiva Goswami confirmed this inference. Hare Krishna Mataji. Thank you.
So, the story of this disappearance of this Yadu is even there in the other cantos also. I think this is there in the 10th canto also, that how did sorry, it's there in the 11th canto, not in the 10th canto, that after Uddhava left for Badik ashram, then Lord Krishna, he saw that there are a lot many bad omens, and then he advised the Yadus to abandon Dwarka and then go to Prabhasa on the bank of the Saraswati. And there he asked them to perform the rituals, and the rituals for counteracting those bad omens. And of course, the Yadus, they followed the advice and they went to Prabhas, and then they became absorbed in that festival festival. And it was only because of the illusionary power of Lord Krishna that they became intoxicated from that liquor, drinking that liquor. And they lost their intelligence. They quarreled among themselves and they began to kill one another, and until nobody was left. And then afterwards, Lord Balram went to the shore of the ocean, and by his mystic strength of yoga, even Lord Balram gave up his body. And then seeing the disappearance of Lord Balram, Lord Krishna then sat down very silently upon the ground, and then we know that there is a hunter named Jara, and then he thought that he thought that actually he was mistaking that the sole of the Lord's foot was a deer, and he pierced an arrow. And this hunter immediately understood his mistake, and then he fell at the feet of Lord Krishna. He's begging that, please punish me. I have done so much harm on you. And then the Lord is telling the hunter that, see, what you have done was actually according to my own desire only. It was my wish only. And then the Lord sent this hunter to Vaikuntha. So when Krishna's charioteer Daruka, he arrived on the scene and saw Lord Krishna in that condition, he began to, lament. And Krishna told him that, no, you go to Dwarka and you inform all the residents about how the Yadus were annihilated. And you please advise all the Dwarka Vasis to leave for Indraprasth. So then Daruk very obediently, he carried out his order, and then he asked, everybody. He went to Dwarka, and then he's asking everybody to head for Dwarka. Sorry, for Indraprastha. So that's how this plan of the Lord was there for the Yadu's annihilation. So he says that Mitho Yadesham Bhavita Vivado Madhav Amadatamra Vilochananam Naisham Vadhopaya Iyan Ato Anyo Mai Udyate Antardadhe Swayam Swama Smaha. So then he said that. Lakshmi Narayan Prabhu, please read this translation.
Yes. Yes, Mother. Hare Krishna. Translation. When they quarrel among themselves, influenced by intoxication, with their eyes red like copper because of drinking madhu, then only will they disappear. Otherwise, it will not be possible. On my disappearance, this instant will take place. Purport. The Lord and his associates appear and disappear by the will of the Lord. They are not subjected to the laws of material nature. No one was able to kill the family of the Lord, nor was there any possibility of their natural death by the laws of nature. The only means, therefore, for their disappearance was the make show of a fight amongst themselves, as if brawling in intoxication due to drinking. That so-called fighting would also take place by the will of the Lord, otherwise there would be no cause for their fighting. Just as Arjuna was made to be illusioned by family affection, and thus the Bhagavad-gītā was spoken, so the Yadu dynasty was made to be intoxicated by the will of the Lord and nothing more. The devotees and associates of the Lord are completely surrendered souls. Thus they are transcendental instruments in the hands of the Lord and can be used any way the Lord desires. The pure devotees also enjoy such pastimes of the Lord because they want to see Him happy. Devotees of the Lord never assert independent individuality. On the contrary, they utilize their individuality in pursuit of the desires of the Lord. And this cooperation of the devotees with the Lord makes a perfect sense of Lord's pastimes. Thank you, Mataji. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna. Okay, so Rupa Mataji is actually asking the the story of this Kalyavan and Jarasandh and all from the Kurukshetra war, right? So this Kalyavan, Jarasandh and all, no? These people were, asuras only, and this Kalyavan was actually from basically he was from the Yavana side actually, and this Kalyavan he had he had invaded on Mathura and against Krishna. So then that's how and how was Kalyavan's birth actually in one of the Puranas? I don't remember the Purana, but I'd heard this that a woman Vrika Devi, she wanted to test the this of Garga Muni, and Garga Muni was not able to this for he was not able to give his semen out because of because which the Yadavas were insulted, and then he did a 12-year what do you say tapasya or penance, and then he got a boon from Lord Shiva that he would get a son who would destroy even the Yadavas. And during his tapasya, he ate only iron filings. Imagine that made this Kalyavan's complexion black, and that is why when Gargaya he had come to Mathura, then he had mated with one of the gopis, but she was actually an Apsara. So Kalyavan is the Kalyavan was born in that way, and then somehow the other his father he actually crowned Kalyavan and he went to the forest. And then basically this Kalyavan, no, he is one of the incarnations or personification of anger. And that is why this Jarasandh, who was Kamsa's father-in-law, okay, and who used to rule Magadha, he had attacked Mathura 17 times. But he was actually beaten every time by Krishna. So Jarasandh was never been able to defeat only Krishna. Every time this Jarasandh, he came, but he was defeated. And then, so what did this Jarasandh do? He actually made an alliance with this Kamyavana. And Kamyavan had become a very powerful, Yodha, you can say. Who had, of course, we know that he had got a boon from Lord Shiva. That on the battlefield, nobody could defeat him. So Krishna, in order to defend his subjects, he built Dwarka, and and when he built so from Mathura, people used to travel to Dwarka. So all the Mathura Vasis, they slowly. So Kalyavan again attacked Mathura with an army of some very big, huge army. But then Krishna, realizing that this, Yavanas had, too much of number of there, all of the and the Yadavas also. So he decided to challenge Kalyavan for a war. So then Krishna, what he did? Krishna actually fled away from that battlefield. And Krishna actually running, he went into a cave where there was this king, there was this king called Muchukunda, and who was one of the forefathers of Lord Ram. And he was in great, deep samadhi for many years. And so then what happened is that when and he had a boon given by Indra, that if anybody who will dare to disturb your sleep, that person will be burned to ashes very immediately only. So then when in this Dwapar, because he was sleeping from Treta Yuga only. So in Dwapar, and what happened when Krishna was running and Muchukunda was there? So what did Krishna do? Krishna actually covered Muchukunda with his scarf. And Kalyavan thought that, okay, this person under the scarf is, Krishna only. So this Kalyavan, what he did is, he kicked Muchukunda, and he disturbed Muchukunda's sleep. And that's how, this Kalyavan, was smashed to ashes. And then Muchukunda was very delighted to see Lord Krishna there. And then Krishna said that, okay, you perform tapasya, to clean the sins, and you attained, liberation. So, Muchukunda then, went out of the cave, and then Muchukunda traveled to the Gandha, what is that mountain name? Gandha Madana mountain. And then from there he went to Badika Ashram and, doing a lot of austerities and all. And then that's how he actually got salvation, or you can say moksha. And that's how this story of Kalyavan and Jarasandha there. So Jarasandha, this Jarasandha story actually, you can say that he also belonged to this Magad dynasty only, and Jarasandha, Jarasand's, I forget his wife's name. I don't remember the wife's name. So yeah, Jarasandh, how he was born, I'm just trying to recall actually. So he had actually this Jarasandh history, I don't remember what. How he was born, I just forget. But yeah, Jarasandh, he used to always keep on attacking Mathura. And eventually Krishna was ordering Vishwakarma to craft some very nice city near the sea. And that's how Dwarka was built. And then when Jarasandh is again attacking Mathura, then Krishna and Balram, they were using their powers to go to, Dwarka. So from Mathura to Dwarka, there was a pathway. And then Jarasandh was thinking always that, oh, Krishna was killed, Krishna has died, and then he returns to his own land. But then again, in a short while, when Jarasandh is sitting in the courtyard of Dhritarashtra, then he's learning that, oh, Krishna only changed his kingdom or changed his capital from Mathura to Dwarka. So then Jarasandh, he also, was a major hurdle for Yudhishthir Maharaj when he wanted to actually, perform some yagya. And then because Jarasandh was a very powerful warrior, and it was very important for the Pandavas to actually kill him. So Krishna, Bhima and Arjuna, they actually disguised themselves into a Brahmana, and they traveled to Jarasandh's kingdom, Magadha, and they met him. And Jarasandh was inquiring about their intention. So Krishna, Bhima and Arjuna, they actually revealed their original identities. And then Krishna gave a challenge to Jarasandh, and said that, okay, select any one of them to fight with. So Jarasandh selected Bhima and for a fight. So then when Bhim and Jarasandh both were wrestling, so for many, many days they actually wrestled. But nobody was able to, defeat anybody, and nobody was wanting to even give up. So then after a long while, this Jarasandha, he actually became very tired. And then Krishna is hinting Bhima that when he is becoming tired now, then if you press him too hard, then he will die. So Bhima understood Krishna's hint. And what he did is, he lifted Jarasandh in the air and pressed his knee against Jarasandh's backbone. And that's how he killed Jarasandh. So, and then Jarasandh's son Sahadeva, not the youngest of the Pandava, okay, but then Jarasandh's son Sahadeva was actually became the king. And but of course, even Jarasandh like that was killed, and that's how this is the story of Jarasandh. But I don't remember the birth of Jarasandh. I just fail to understand his birth, because generally I know the birth of these people. But how was Jarasandha born? I just fail to understand. Because I remember Jarasandha's father's name was Brihadratha, and he was married to the queens of Kashi, and this yes. This Jarasandha, yes, yeah, absolutely. What you're speaking about. So, and that's how, this Jarasandha, I think very faintly I remember, not much I remember about the Jarasandha. So that's the story of this Jarasandha. So, this is, till this 15th shloka is all about this. Now, actually, after this is a very interesting section where it's saying that how Krishna in Dwarka, uh, how he was there, and what are the Lord's opulences, and how he was behaving with the queens of Dwarka and with the Yadus, and how he established Maharaj Yudhishthir as the emperor, and how he protected Uttara from Ashwathama's Brahmastra. So all these events will come, and then there will be events leading to the annihilation also of the Yadus. So what we'll do is we'll see these events tomorrow. Okay, so dear devotees, thank you so much for this wonderful session of the Bhagavatam, that we are again back in full form relishing the Śrīmad-Bhāgavatam. So once we'll finish this chapter, there is another good chapter coming up where Vidura will approach Maitreya Muni, and he will be asking many intelligent questions to Maitreya Muni. And then Vidura will question to Maitreya Rishi about, give the intimate pastimes of Krishna Katha, and Maitreya Muni will actually give the process of creation. So again, the creation part will come, then how the demigods prayed to, and how the universal form was formed and all that. So a little technical part will come, but the technical part will come, I think, from the 5th chapter, not from the 4th chapter at least. So another interesting section will come up after a few weeks, you can say. So dear devotees, thank you so much. Srila Prabhupada ki jai, Gaur Bhakta Vrind ki jai, Śrīmad-Bhāgavatam ki jai. Hare Krishna.
Mataji, Danda Pranam.
Dhanavad Prabhu, Dhanavad Pranam.